Okay, so shalom ubracha and welcome, and thank you for this initiative of having a Likutey Halakhot official class, which is very exciting because this book is a supernatural book. It's not a normal book. The story is told that Reb Noson, the author of this book, Likutey Halakhot, he dreamt Rebbe Nachman standing beside somebody else, like an elder, a sage, a tzaddik, whoever. And Reb Noson was telling Rebbe Nachman how much he's suffering persecution because it was a very hard time, the 1830s, 1835, 1836, about 3 years of oppression. That the Breslover Hasidim were being taunted and being beaten up and insulted, and the Breslov books were being torn. It was a very difficult time, about 3 years. And in that time, Reb Noson had this dream, and he told Rebbe Nachman in his dream how much he's suffering to trying to spread his light and teachings in the world. And Rebbe Nachman was trying to comfort Reb Noson, and he said to him, "But you did very well with your insights, your chidushim in this book, Likutey Halakhot." And the man next to Rebbe Nachman said in Yiddish, "Yo, like a real Yiddish accent, you did very well, Zeir Shein, you did very well." So Rav Noson asked Rebbe Nachman, "Who is this?" He says, "This is Moshe Rabbeinu." Amazing. Yeah. So it's like a story told as if to give, here's Michael Ben Melech. Shalom ubracha. Thank you for joining.
I just told him.
Thank you, Baruch Hashem. Thank
Shalom
you.
Aleichem, Rabbi.
Alechem v'benechem. I'm amazing you're putting time for the class, and thank you for joining. Thank you, Habibi. Thank you so much. V'ezat Hashem. All right, so we're holding in the middle of a discourse that we began recording. It took a long time to get to this point, about 2-3 years, believe it or not, off and on, off and on. The discourse is found in the section called Orach. Just explain, Likutey Halakhot is patterned after the Code of Jewish Law, written by Rav Yosef Karo, the Shulchan Aruch. And just as the Shulchan Aruch has 4 sections, so Rav Noson's Likutey Halakhot has also 4 sections. First section, Orach, which is the laws of daily living, talit, tefillin, shacharit, mincha, arvit, brachot, the mitzvahs that are on a daily basis, Shabbat, Chagim, Pesach, okay? And that's the section we're in. We're holding by Nefilat Apayim, the laws of falling on one's face after the Amida prayer of Shacharit and Mincha. This is discourse number 4. It's a whole thing how Rav Noson wrote this book, and I don't know how much time we have to go into it, but all the details of this book could be found in Rav Chaim Kramer's amazing book called Through Fire and Water. In the back, you have a few appendixes. One of them explains the whole thing about Likutey Halakhot, the methodology, the history, a system, how it works, how to learn it, and everything. We're learning this discourse, Nefilat Apayim, because it's written on Rebbe Nachman's lesson, Likutey Moharan 24. To explain what exactly we're saying here, is that Rebbe Nachman wrote a book called Likutey Moharan, right? We know that. And that's where Rebbe Nachman's main teachings are found. And he instructed his disciple Rav Noson to take the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch, and to bring a depth of the meaning behind the mitzvot, the laws of the Torah, but based on his book, Likutey Moharan. So it's not a halachic book, it's an ethical musar book of giving you the meaning behind Shabbat, Kashrut, Tefillin, family purity, the laws of building, of partnership, of theft, of robbery, mourning, right? All the laws of the Torah law to give the deeper meaning behind it. It's such a powerful source book that even Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, alav shalom, in his amazing books that he wrote for beginners, for NCSY, for example, there's little booklets on tzitzit, a thread of light, tefillin, Shabbat, the mikveh. So in all the books that he wrote for beginners to give them an understanding of the meaning behind these basic mitzvot, you'll see in his references and his sources that the majority come from Likutey Halakhot, this book, because it's such a unique. It's unique in this sense. that it explains the deeper meaning behind all the mitzvot. And Reb Noson, he said, I wrote this book in order to push people to enhance their fulfillment of the mitzvot. In other words, they're davening shacharit, using the ideas that he expresses in these discourses, which are based on Likutey Moharan. His goal was to help you enhance your mincha, your shacharit, your tefillin, your brachot, your birkat hamazon, your asher yatzar, your tzedakah, your Torah study, all the things that you're doing already, to enhance it with a lot of light and energy taken from Rebbe Nachman's teachings. So Rebbe Nachman, again, he told Reb Noson, take my book Likutey Moharan, take the Code of Jewish Law, and bring out the deeper meaning using the Likutey Moharan. So that's what Reb Noson did. He didn't follow an order in Likutey Moharan, but he did follow the order in the Code of Jewish Law, because Rebbe Nachman said, go through the Code of Jewish Law in order, and then whatever comes to mind from certain lessons in Likutey Moharan, use them to enhance the meaning behind the halacha. And that's what Reb Noson did. So 8 volumes. It's a giant set, 8 volumes. It's over 3,000 double column pages on how to be a Jew. Basically, that's the bottom line, how to be a Jew. This discourse was written approximately 1820s, about like maybe 10 years plus after Rebbe Nachman passed away. Reb Noson was beginning to get into the writing because it took time for him to develop. You see, as Reb Noson gets older, his grasp of the depth behind Rebbe Nachman's teachings in explaining halacha is enhanced more and more and more. So this cycle, it's discourse number 4. And by being number 4, it's already called Reb Noson's 4th cycle, meaning that he went through the Shulchan Aruch using Likutey Moharan already 4 times. This is the 4th time. He's done three times. He's in the middle of his 4th cycle. The tradition is Reb Noson went through the Code of Jewish Law using Likutey Moharan to write insights. The tradition is about 8 times he did it. So this is his 4th cycle. He was still relatively young, but you see already what a grasp, what a depth he has in Rebbe Nachman's lessons. Rebbe Nachman himself said to Reb Noson, I'm going to open your mind to my lessons, and you're going to travel in the lessons like somebody who goes from in a castle from antechamber to the chamber to the treasury to all the deep rooms, and you begin to see the depth of my lessons. And this is coming out as Reb Noson is writing more and more. You see how his grasp is getting more and more clear in explaining Rebbe Nachman's teachings. He also had to have a mastery of Kabbalah. Rebbe Nachman instructed him to learn Kabbalah. At first, Reb Noson shied away from learning Kabbalah. Who am I to learn Kabbalah? I don't understand. So Rebbe Nachman says, don't worry, just go through the Kabbalah, and wherever you don't understand, make a pencil mark. Okay? And when you finish, go through it a second time. And every time you go through, you understand better, you can erase the pencil marks. And that's actually what happened. He would go through again and again until things became every time clearer and more clear, and he was erasing more and more and had a clear grasp. So in a sense, Chassidut, in the most amazing way, explains the Kabbalah in the most practical application there is. Again, I'm using always Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan as a reference because he was truly amazing in his grasp of all areas of the Torah, including the Kabbalah. And you see even Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, in his book, for example, called Inner Space, how he's always going to Chassidut, especially Rebbe Nachman, to explain Kabbalistic concepts. It's phenomenal. To explain the Kabbalah using the Hasidic teachings. And this is especially true of Likutey Halakhot. Likutey Halakhot is a primer for people who understand, who want to learn Kabbalah, but learn it in a way that they can use it in their practical life. Not huji-buji, floating the mountains in Tzfat and everything, and to be a hermit. But people want to take it and put it into their family, in education, in the challenges of life, going shopping, on the bus, on the road, in daily struggles. They're using the deepest things of Kabbalah and applying them in the daily grind of life. That's a big insight. That's where Chassidut comes in. So we're holding in this discourse, it's Nefilat Apayim, discourse number 4. We're in the middle of paragraph 15. The reason I'm not starting from the beginning because it took me a few years to get here. So we have to continue from where I left off, if that's okay with you guys, B'ezrat Hashem. I will do my best to explain everything needed to understand where we're holding today. So in paragraph 15, Reb Noson, he goes into this concept how a person needs very much in life what's called Na'aseh v'nishma, what the Jews proclaimed at Har Sinai. You know, when Moshe Rabbeinu presented receiving the Torah to the Jewish people, so we know, Parshat Mishpatim, Kol asher diber Hashem Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and we will listen, and there's many questions on that. How could you do first and then listen? What does that mean? Even Reb Noson asked that question. You know, what does it mean first we will do and then we will listen? How could you do first and only afterwards hear what you have to do? It doesn't make sense. So Reb Noson, in a beautiful way, explains like this. He says, Naaseh means when you're told to do something by the Torah, you do it without understanding. For example, like a child. We teach a child, okay, you get up in the morning, wash your hands. The child, he doesn't say, but why? Why this? Why that? He does everything in simplicity. They tell him to do it, he does it. His mommy and daddy wash their hands and they do it. They don't have to explain him a whole drasha why you're doing it. You do it, okay? Afterwards in life, it's expected that the person now will have a more enhanced intellect. That child will be grown now, more and more. And be able to understand now what's the idea of washing the hands in the morning. Why is it called in Yiddish Negelwasser? What's the whole meaning? Why can't I walk too much from my bed before washing my hands? All these laws, he then understands because he's learning. But at first, he won't begin to do unless he jumps in. Just like a child has emuna, so too a Jew is expected in the areas of Torah application, which are still beyond the comprehension of a Jew. He's expected to do things out of emuna. I'm doing it but I want to understand. The problem with this generation, the problem with the whole scenario of university and scholarship is that no, they train you, you don't do until you understand. Okay? That is a sense of kfira, believe it or not, of heresy, of atheism. I have to understand first. I won't do to understand. Hey buddy, there's no Judaism if you do like that. If you wait to understand, I'm going to take a course in university on the philosophy behind the Sabbath, and then I'll consider doing. Forget it. That's not how it works. You're going to lose it. That's not how Judaism works. Judaism is first, I believe. I recognize that I don't know everything. I recognize that I have a lot of what's the word in English? I'm always losing. A lot of lackings. My brain is still not full. It's not complete. I'm very diminished in understanding. I accept that, and because I accept that, I'm willing to do things out of emuna, faith in the Torah, faith in the sages, faith in the tzaddikim. That's all faith in Hashem. And then, as I accept with emuna and do things out of emuna, then when they say in heaven, you've proven that you're dedicated and you're sincere and you're determined and you're faithful and trustworthy, then we will reveal to you more. It's an amazing little aphorism that Rebbe Nachman has in his book called the Aleph Bet Book. He says like this in the Aleph Bet Book, that when a person begins to serve Hashem, so Hashem says to that person's neshama, he says, I know you're sincere, I know you want really to come close to me, but what's my proof that you're going to hang on? If I all of a sudden reveal to you the depths of the Torah, you might just take off and leave tomorrow. So I want to test you first. Hashem says to the person, serve me Hashem as it is, without knowing any depth behind what you're doing. Do it out of simple emuna. And the time that you've committed, invested in doing and serving Hashem out of simple faith for understanding will be my guarantee that you won't leave. And then I will reveal to you the depths of the Torah. So Reb Noson explains here, this is the deep meaning behind what the Jews said, Naaseh, and then Venishma. Hashem willing to do things without understanding. Okay? I'm now doing tshuva, I'm a convert, whatever. They say, do this, raise your hand like this, raise your hand like that. Do whatever they tell me to do, I'm in. I've already accepted faithfully that Torah is the truth, Hashem is the truth, and this is my address, this is the direction I take in life. So now I'm going to do things out of emuna. They're going to test me. They say, okay, do this and this and that. And my mind say, but why? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Shh, emuna. Just do out of simple emuna. If now you do out of naaseh, then you merit the v'nishma. And the Jews said that. They said, we will do, and then we will listen. Meaning, we'll do out of simple faith, just because Hashem told us to do it. And Reb Noson adds, I'll do it b'simcha. I'm happy. This is amazing what he's saying. The happiness and joy in doing the mitzvah is not so much because I understand the meaning behind the mitzvah. My simcha is coming because I'm serving Hashem with this mitzvah, period. I don't understand at all the depth of this mitzvah, but I do know Hashem loves me because of this. Hashem loves me because of my tefillin. Hashem loves me because I'm going to the mikveh. Hashem loves me because of my shacharit, mincha, arvit, the brachot. Hashem loves me. I'm giving tzedakah here. I'm doing Shabbos here, keeping kosher. Hashem loves me because of that. And that's why I'm happy. I don't understand the deep meaning behind the cow and the pig and the milk and the meat. I understand the basics right now at my level. And using that, I'm pushed to have happiness in the fact that I'm able to serve Hashem. And that's how emuna fuels simcha. And then you can serve Hashem b'simcha. As opposed to the guy, he's trying to understand every detail. Even like these real religious guys, they're trying to go into the details, and only then can they connect. Those people are never happy. They're never happy because they can't let go and just serve Hashem out of simple emuna. If you have simple emuna, you have every reason to be happy. The main reason why people are miserable and they're serving Hashem, they don't do things out of happiness, is because they want like a light to come down to infuse them with understanding and being uplifted with an intellectual growth. Then they can be inspired to be happy. So Reb Noson says you got it all wrong. The secret is the true simcha, which is the goal of the mitzvah. The goal of whatever you're doing to serve Hashem is to do it b'simcha. He says, Reb Noson, in a certain place, I can't find the source. It's quoted by Rav Shimshon Barsky in his book called Etzot Mevuarot. It's been translated into English as A Bit More Advice by the BRI. So he says there that Rav Noson writes in Likutey Halakhot that the simcha in doing a mitzvah is even greater than the mitzvah itself. And that's the goal. The goal of the mitzvah is to get to the simcha that's behind the mitzvah. That's the goal. It's not easy. Again, these are the ideas that we have to aim for, but this is not easy. We know why it's not easy, because we have such a daily grind, so many crazy things popping up. Okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to pay the bill, the water bill, and I have to pick up the kids at 4 and this and that. And you're just overwhelmed by static, by distractions. So you begin to do things out of route, and you forget why you're doing what you're doing. And also you feel pressured, okay, I have to rush and do this because I have to go do this and that. I have to go run to work and everything. So a person doesn't have the ability to appreciate what they're doing. And because they don't have the ability, the time to appreciate what they're doing, they can't be b'simcha in what they're doing because they're always in a rush. So we do need a blessing to have a break, to live in the present moment, to appreciate what I'm doing, to believe in what I'm doing, and that is the trigger for simcha in what I'm doing. Again, it's easier said than done. You need to do a lot of davening about this to happen, to ask Hashem, please Hashem, let me serve you b'simcha. It's one thing to serve you, it's one thing to be a Jew, an observant Jew, but I want to do this b'simcha. And that's really the goal of all life. All of creation is to get a Jew to feel that joy in the connection to God through the mitzvot, because the wording of mitzvah means many things. One, it means a commandment. A mitzvah is a tzivui. Hashem commanded us to do 613 commandments, okay? So mitzvah also means a connector. Tzvat in Hebrew. Tzavta, for example. And that's a connector. When you're doing a mitzvah, you're connecting to Hashem. It's a known teaching that Mem Tzadik Vav Hey has half of Hashem's name revealed, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So Vav Kei in mitzvah, Vav Hey of mitzvah, is corresponding to the Vav Kei in Hashem's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Mem Tzadik in what's called Atbash. Atbash is a type of gematria where we take the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and fold them like this. So we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Vav, right? Yud, Kaf, that's 11 first letters. And then other side you have Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, and Til, Tav. And you fold them. There's 22 letters in the alphabet. You fold them like this so that 1 corresponds to 22, 2 is 21, okay? So when you do like that, the 22 letters, Mem corresponds to Yud. So Mem is here corresponding to Yud. And Tzadik is corresponding to He. So in mitzvah you have hidden Yud K. Mem Tzadik is the hidden Atbash gematria of Yud K. And Vav K. So when you're doing a mitzvah, you're actually connecting to Hashem directly. You're holding the lulav, the etrog, the tefillin, the bracha. Any mitzvah you do, it's a connector to God directly. So Hashem, the whole goal of creation is to appreciate that connection and to feel happy about it. That's all Hashem wants. And if a person doesn't do that, that's the key for falling off. Because we've said this many times in previous classes. In the curses in Parashat Kitavo, in the end of the book of Dvarim, it lists 98 terrible curses. A person's going to eat their children. A person's going to do all these crazy things, like terrible things. The sky won't produce rain. The earth will rot the produce, the crops and everything. All these crazy things. In the middle it says there, all this will befall you. Tachat asher lo avadetat Hashem Elokecha besimcha uvtuv levav. All this will fall upon you because you didn't serve Hashem with joy. The pasuk says that. It's not a Hasidic vort or something like that. It's a clear verse in the Torah that it says that all this comes upon, all the curses and punishments and everything, because you didn't work to serve Hashem out of joy. Because Hashem knows if a Jew's not happy in serving Him, A, B, C, D, that's it, he falls off. When a Jew's not happy in their Yiddishkeit, so why should they hold on? Push gets to shove, of course they're going to fall off. Religious kids grew up religious and then they fall off. Why? Because they never got to see the simcha of Judaism. Everything was do this, do that. Everything was tough. So they say, the age with this, I don't need this. Well, I have a better life. I go to Club Med. I enjoy myself. Aruba, Jamaica, nice, enjoying this world. What do I need? This strictness and this heaviness and this attitude. That's why most people fall off Judaism, is because they give an impression that it's negative. But Rebbe Nachman's teaching, the Torah teaches that your goal is to be happy, to feel the simcha of being a Jew. What a bliss, what a delight that I'm connecting to Hashem. With this little tzitzit, we buy for $20 a pair of tzitzit. I say a bracha, I put on the tzitzit, and I'm now connecting to the infinite light. Can there be a greater joy than that? Of course you need emuna to believe that. But that's what's happening. That the mitzvah is connecting me to Hashem. I'm doing the will of Hashem. I don't understand the intricacies and the details and all the Kabbalistic unifications and meaning behind every detail of the strings of the 7, 8, 11, 13, the twinings of the ksharim, the knots of the tzitzit. I don't know the deep meaning. I know how to do it. I know what's happening, but I know the deep meaning. So what do I have is just, I know this is what Hashem wants. That's all I know. I believe in that. I believe Hashem wants me to do this. So that should be enough to grant true simcha. This is the true simcha because it's eternal. The simcha of this world, anything that's from this world, many times you see Academy Awards and you see these actors who got so old and they're in the 90s and their whole simcha came from a Star Trek movie they made in 1960s, 1970s, and now they're not happy because all their simcha was in something that happened. They got an Academy Award in this, and they're not happy now. They're miserable because all their simcha was based on something which was transient, something passing. But Judaism, like for example, you said a bracha, 1995, December 4th, 1995, at 9:51 in the morning, you said a bracha on a glass of milk. That bracha is etched forever. It's now stored and it's eternally yours. It's your eternal connection with God. It's what stays with you after you live 120 and they put you in the earth. And now your neshama comes up. The investment of the connection and the bliss that you have to God is dependent on that bracha that you said, 9:51 a.m., December 5th, 1995. That's part of what makes your connection. And it's big. It's a big light that the whole world is not enough to the light of that little simple bracha. What? A bracha on a glass of milk? Come on. A shakol and a Nestle chocolate bar? Come on. Yes, that bracha is eternal. Period. You think no, because I'm just eating it. I want the chocolate. What do you want from me? I have to eat. I can't eat without a bracha. Yes, but you did a mitzvah. By saying the bracha, you show your submission to Hashem. Because if you didn't have submission, you wouldn't say the bracha. You don't care about the bracha. The fact that you care about the bracha, that's already a sense of submission and emuna, and that stays with you forever. So because of that, we have every right to be happy. Just the thing is, we need to have the clarity of the head to appreciate what I'm doing in order to believe in what I'm doing, in order to be happy. But this is the goal. So he says that the whole world stands on Na'aseh v'nishma. Hashem created the world in this format that he expects people, the creation, to do out of emuna, and then they'll understand. If they show that I can do things out of simple faith and not swerve because of complications of the mind, I then merit to the nishma. In other words, Reb Noson explains the Na'aseh v'nishma. The nishma is a result of the Na'aseh because you show that I am committed without intellectual understanding. I'm committed. I'm here. Whether I have a good day or a bad day, whether I wake up on the right side of bed, the wrong side of bed, I'm putting on my tefillin. I don't care, no matter what. The day does not go by without my tefillin, with my kriyat shema, without daven. I'm not going to say, I'm having a bad day, so Hashem doesn't appreciate my mitzvot anyways, so I just won't do it. No, I'll say, whether I'm up or down, I have emuna that this is what Hashem wants me to do. Whether I'm up or low, this is what has to be done. You show the commitment, Hashem afterwards rewards you with a nishma. That you begin to understand. That's how the tzaddikim became tzaddikim. You see these tzaddikim who know such amazing things, and you type of a jealousy, I want to be like that. Their secret is this, Rebbe Nachman teaches elsewhere. The secret of these tzaddikim is that they were able to serve Hashem, like they say in Yiddish, in the bots, in the mud. They're able to serve Hashem when things were dark and muddy and miserable, and they held on with just simple emuna, even if they couldn't bring themselves to a true simcha, but they showed their commitment through thick and thin, always being there. Hashem rewards them afterwards with the nishma. So Reb Noson wrote earlier that this is the whole creation. And he says also, because for the average Jew this is very difficult, so it's understood that this maximum level of perceiving depth, which is the nishma, which he calls in this lesson, Rebbe Nachman calls in lesson 24, an exposure to the infinite light, okay? Because it requires a lot of determination, and it's understood that the average Jew has his major ups and downs, and it's hard. So it's understood that the greatest tzaddikim master this level. They reach a mastery of always serving Hashem out of emuna, and then reaching a high level. More than this, he says, that this is how growth is. Growth is emuna, and then you have a revelation of understanding. So Na'aseh, Nishma. And then you're ready for the next level. So now you have a newer level of emuna, where you don't know what's happening, and you do things out of emuna, and then you have a higher level of revelation. And that's how it goes. It's like a cycle. You're always going up and up and up. First, a devotion of emuna, doing things about understanding, and then Hashem gives you a revelation, a taste of the infinite light, and then you go up to a higher level. This, Rebbe Nachman, he brings it into a famous expression in the teachings of the rabbis. The expression is called, it goes like this, Tachlit hayediyah shelo neda. The goal of knowing is to not know. Meaning what? As much as you know in life, beyond that level of knowing, there's a new level that you haven't even touched, you haven't even scratched, and it's called it's called lo neda. I don't know. I have no idea what's out there. You reveal them, like it's like walking into a palace, and they finally open a door to a giant room, beautiful room with gold and tapestries and everything and chandeliers, only to discover at the end of the room there's another door. In other words, oh my God, I'm already amazed of this room, and I see there's another door leading to something else, and finally you get to the door and leads to a bigger room. You haven't even begun to enter that new room. That's how life is. Life is a level of emuna, doing things out of emuna, then you get clarity, and then emuna and clarity. So he says, Tachlit hayediyah, the goal of knowing is to know that you don't know. Because after whatever you know, there's a level that's beyond you and you don't know there. And you have to be able to always switch, to be able to gear shift between knowing and then not knowing and to accept it. People who crash because everything is just knowing. Everything is knowledge. Everything is knowledge. Everything is knowledge, 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 knowledge. Those people crash because the secret to knowledge is emuna. The final goal of every knowledge is a new level of emuna. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. Just like Hashem is endless, His infinite light is endless, so it doesn't end. You can't say, I know the whole Torah. Oh, I know the whole Torah. Yeah, bravo. I know the whole Torah. I finished all the Talmud, Bavli, Yerushalmi. I finished all the Zohar, all the Midrash. I know. It's like the exact opposite of like I said, of university. In university, you invest 5 years and you have a diploma. You know, I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. I know. Judaism, the tzaddikim, the Torah scholars, the more they know, the more they learn, the more they realize how much is out there that they don't know. So they're always in a level of humility, of knowing, but at the same time not knowing. And they're working their whole they maintain themselves at the level of not knowing. That's their humility of the tzaddikim. For people lesser than them, they ask a simple question, I can answer, no problem. And he doesn't have haughtiness because of it, because he's always holding and what's the next level, and I don't know anything there. So even on one hand, he's grasped a lot. He doesn't say, you don't know anything, you're asking me stupid questions. What are you asking me about, can I do this, can I do that? He doesn't say that. He appreciates your little efforts because he's holding at a place of humility. As I myself don't know, so how can I say I know? So we asking simple questions. Here's the answer, no problem. And the details of your question, here's the answers for the details of your question, no problem. And the sage, the tzaddik, he doesn't have haughtiness. Oh, I know, I'm a big shot, I know. Because he's always holding at the level of not knowing. Okay? This is what Reb Noson said until now. And now he says something unbelievable. He says that this, believe it or not, was the essence of the sin of Adam Harishon. Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava. This was the blemish. And the whole blemish of creation is this problem where people try to understand everything. They want to understand, they want to grasp, and they want to work based on that. And then Hashem and life smacks them up so much that only then they wake up to realize how much I don't know. What keeps the world, people going forward and trying to advance and everything, is they think the intellect and understanding. But really, what gives the world sustenance and light is when people have emuna. They use their intellect to thrust them to a higher level of emuna, and the attitude of not knowing and just turning to Hashem out of simple faith, even though it's been enhanced and advanced because of all the Torah that they've learned in their life and all the intellectual advancement to reach a new level of emuna. This level of emuna, that attitude of Hashem, I don't know anything, I just turn to you, please help me. That's what allows for all the blessings to come down in this world. When a person is understanding, and just holding on that, doesn't allow for bounty to come down. It's when a person stops, has the break, and realizes how much he doesn't know, and how much he's dependent on having simple faith in Hashem. That's what allows the bracha to come down. So going back, we're going to see now that this was the whole test of Adam. Adam was ordered by Hashem, don't eat from the fruit. But the snake came and tried to convince Chava, who convinced Adam, you know why Hashem told you not to eat from the fruit of the tree? Because he himself ate from the tree and he was able to create worlds. Wouldn't you like to have the power to create worlds? So it was intellectually intriguing and very, very moshech. It was very, what's the word in English? It was very attractive to Chava and even Adam to have the mind opened up like AI, to have the brain opened up to infinite levels of calculations and pieces of information and everything. That's self-destruction. That's wrong. Hashem ordered simple, don't eat. He didn't say why. Your job, Adam and Chava, is not to eat. Adam, and he blemished by adding to Chava, don't even touch the tree. But he was ordered by Hashem, don't eat, neither of you, from the tree. He didn't say why, nothing. Until Shabbat. Shabbat, you'll be able to eat from the tree. You have to wait, patience, and have emuna. And he blemished in that. Let's take a look inside the text that I gave you. the paragraph that begins Ki Ikar Chet Adam Arishon. Okay, I sent you two scans. One is you can go over what we spoke about until now. Everything's in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of this paragraph 15. And now today we're going to go into the 1, 2, 3. Am I right? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth paragraph now. So he says like this, Reb Noson. Ki Ikar Chet Adam Arishon Haya Shistakel Bema Dela Havo Le Reshu. He's quoting from the Zohar, or quoting the language of the Zohar. He says like this: for the essence of the sin of the first man, what was the actual sin? This concept that he looked at, histakel, in that areas which he has no permission to look in. This is another wording of what we spoke about. A person wants to understand everything, even that which is beyond him. When it comes to matters that are beyond you, in other words, as much as you're learning, you feel it's beyond you, it's the wrong attitude to push further to try to understand. Rather, what should be the attitude? To close the books, to close everything, and to resort to simple emuna in these areas. This area, it's forbidden for me to probe. I'm not going to go into there. But the person who's intellectual, because intellect is very attractive. Again, person likes understanding. It's like a tendency of a human being. They want knowledge. They want to understand. They want to grasp more. And the test is stop. Know where to put the brakes. Stop. Don't go further. You don't have to go here. So the person who has emuna says, they told me not to go here. I'm not going to go here. Forget about if I have the capacity to do so or not. I'm not going in this area. I'm stopping here, period. Okay? Adam Arishon, his test is that he went in to look. He tried to look into that which he had no permission to look into. No, why not to eat from the tree? What happens if I eat from the tree? But you're not supposed to probe there. Hashem told you, don't eat from the tree. Your creator, the one who created you, Adam, he tells you something. So follow the orders. What's the problem? That was the whole test. That the intellect is pushing the person. No, I want to understand. Hey, Habibi, you have to know where to put emuna. You have to know where to put the brakes. You have to stop. It's emuna, okay? Kamuva beZohar Kadosh. This idea is brought in the Zohar Kadosh. Now, I looked up the Zohar. This is from the Tikkun Zohar, Tikkun number 19. If you know how the Tikkun Zohar works, it's 70 chapters on the first word of the Torah, Bereshit, written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And each chapter is called the Tikkun, rectification. So rectification chapter 19, which is page 42a, I looked it up, and I don't know if this is the right source for this statement, because this statement, this expression, Bema Dela Havov Le Reshu, that Adam Rishon looked in the areas that he had no permission to, the wording does not appear there, but I took a look in the actual rectification chapter 19, and that page 42a, the idea is there. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is telling his son, Rabbi Elazar, that part of the punishment of Adam Rishon is that he blemished. He said, not part. The main blemish of Adam was in machshava, in thought, in thinking, in ideas, in intellect. That he was supposed to not go into that area. Hashem told him not to enter this area of trying to probe with the mind, and he blemished there. He blemished in machshava. And that's basically what Reb Noson is saying, that istakel bema dela havo le reshu. He was looking in what he had no permission to look into. And you're expected to turn to emuna in those areas of life. Hainu kanizkar le'el. This Zohar, this Tikkun Zohar, is in line with what we mentioned above. So he explains what's the idea. He's going to throw in ideas which I didn't mention yet, and now we'll bring them in. Ki hu lo zacha adain letaken hakoach hamesader v'hamehashev v'chole kanizkar le'el. To explain, to translate and explain. Adam Arishon did not yet merit, when he was being tested not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so he was on standby, waiting to reach a higher level, the level called the Keter. If he would have properly waited, Hashem would have granted him the light of the Keter, which is called the strength of organizing and settling the mind. To explain, Rebbe Nachman teaches in lesson 24 that like we said, there's parts of life where you understand, you're enthusiastic, you're inspired, you're going forward, things are clear. And then there's the parts of life where you have to use emuna. Those parts of life that you have to use emuna, Rebbe Nachman explains based on the Kabbalah, this is what happens when a person hits the wall called the keter. The keter is a wall separating man from the infinite light. This wall is not just like one wall. There's the ultimate highest keter. It's called in the Kabbalah keter elyon, the upper keter. But every time at your low level, when you want to reach the next level, you experience a wall called the keter. There's like a miniature keter, a miniature wall every time you're trying to grow from level to level. Take a look how you are today, how you're thinking today, and how you're thinking 10 years ago. So you'll laugh at how you viewed things 10 years ago. Because compared to how you know things today, you're much more enhanced. But what you forget, the point is, what you went through between 10 years ago and today, all the crazy ups and downs that make your life, okay, that made your life the roller coaster that it was, but that's what built you. And that you held on. All the ups and downs, roller coaster, up, and then smash down. And then you holding on and believing it's for the good and not giving up and getting up again and going up and then again being hit. And that's what led to be who you are today. After 10 years, your enhancement is, your understanding is enhanced. Your perception of life, of Hashem, of the Torah is much more enhanced compared to 10 years ago. But it's due to what you don't realize, not just what you learned and what you absorbed, but the ups and downs. The downs where you had to utilize emuna to hold on. In other words, where all these things mean the same thing. Not understanding, right? Nishma, nasevi nishma, emuna, a setback in life, being bashed by the keter to go backwards. All that are synonymous. All these ideas are synonymous. He calls in this lesson being hit by the keter and being pushed back as an opportunity to settle and organize the mind. Because when a person is again enthusiastic and inspired and he feels so intellectually enhanced, all this because he did mitzvot b'simcha, of course, right? So because he's starting on the right footing of doing mitzvot b'simcha, and now he's infused with clarity. So when he's hit by the keter, because he started from the right place, which is of simcha, so he will have already an affinity to using emuna when being bashed in life and hit back in life. He'll always be able to turn to emuna again and again and again. Okay? What's happening in the emuna stage is that the emuna stage, the keter, pushes back a person to settle the mind and organize it. Why is that needed? Because when a person is going forward, it's like a person like in a marathon. The person running, he has no time to think about anything else but just to run. Right? The guys, those marathon runners, their whole thing is to look at the two white lines and just to run. That's it. Not to look at the audience, not to focus on the cheering, not to listen to anybody. He doesn't have like an earpiece with his coach. Keep on going, make a left. Nothing. He's just focusing on one thing. So to a Jew, when he's going upwards, he's only focusing on one thing, to get to the light, to get there, okay? So because of that, the mind is not considered settled and organized. It's focusing on one point, just to absorb, to go to that point A to point B. So now, for a person to be fitting to receive light, clarity for the next level, the mind has to be ready for that. It's one thing, bravo, that you're advancing to get to the keter, but that's not the whole picture. What the keter needs to do is, after now you've advanced, you've been enhanced in life with whatever you've learned, whatever you absorbed, more mitzvot, more Torah, etc. So now the keter pushes you back, and using everything you've enhanced yourself with until now, the keter allows the mind to settle and organize. It's the cause of the mind organizing and settling itself. And to do that, a bash is needed to stop the person from the running. In order to take a break, let's now settle everything that we've just, all the consignment, all the new merchandise that has come into my mind and my neshama, and my heart and my soul, my heart and my mind, my soul, etc. Let's now put everything in the right place. Why this is needed? Because only when a person has these proper vessels, things like pieces of the puzzle in the right place, then it can be a means for light to come in. Okay? And that's what the Keter is doing. So now by Adam Arishon, it was expected already. Hashem created him on Friday, right? Now his test was all Friday day, don't advance to the tree of knowledge. Don't advance. Stop. You can eat all the trees around it, but you can't eat from the tree of knowledge. And the tree of life for sure was totally separate. He had no way to access it at all. But the tree of knowledge was in front of him. Yet he could touch it, he could eat from it. Hashem said, you have to learn how to put on the brakes. Okay? Patience. So what was the blemish? Why was there a blemish? The whole blemish was he was looking past, and he was intrigued, and he wanted to grasp. Why? What is the tree of knowledge? Why can't I partake of it? Why can't I have a part of this? So Reb Noson saying the reason why he was not allowed yet to eat from the tree of knowledge, because his mind was not settled. He was just created, and now he's on running mode, okay, to try to get to Shabbat, the light of Shabbat, and Hashem's telling him, don't touch from the tree. Yeah, you can't. You're now in a situation where you have to wait. But why? No, the waiting is what's going to build the settling and organization of your mind. The mind of Adam Arishon on being created on Friday, and the whole creation being exposed to him on Friday, all the animals and the trees and the birds and the fishies and the whole vegetation, everything be exposed. So for him, this was like a new level of experience, okay? And Hashem wanted to get to him to be able to reach a higher level of the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. Okay, but for that to happen, from jumping from A to B, he needs that the mind should be settled. Because again, he's running towards B, and he has to be, hey, you have to know to wait. So why the wait? So let's explain. Because Adam did not yet merit to rectify the strength, the power of the controls of the mind, to control the mind to be settled and organized. As we said above, Reb Noson mentioned this earlier also. Al ken haya tzarich livli lachmitz mocho be'asagato. That's why he had to make sure not to sour chametz, to leaven, to ferment his mind with his perceptions. He's mentioning this because Reb Noson connects everything here to Pesach. The idea of chametz, the prohibition of chametz, unbelievable. I don't know if you've even thought about this. Chametz and matzah. What's the idea of chametz? Chametz is where a person needs emuna and not to use the mind. The mind is damaged, so therefore there's emuna. No fermentation at all, just emuna. What's emuna? Emuna is the matzah. Matzah is the bread of emuna, and chametz is the food of fermentation and intellect and understanding and pondering and developing your mind. That's the idea of fermentation, leavening the brain is where a person begins to use it to develop. On Pesach, no chametz, just emuna. The test of Pesach is, Pesach means to skip over. Skip over meaning doing without understanding, without intellect, just emuna. That's the idea of matzah. Chametz, exact opposite. But why? What does this mean? What's a deeper meaning? Okay? So, in a sense, Adam Arishon, he blemished with chametz. His goal until Shabbat, Friday night, was not to ferment his mind with his perceptions. In other words, this and that, and the mountains and the trees and this, and then there's the tree of knowledge. So let's develop it more. This will be the key for me to understand the depth behind this. No, stop. And the mind is on a roll, right? And his goal, don't machmitz, no fermenting of the mind, period. Velivli lirdof klal lahasig velachakor b'ameh she'ein lo reshut. In other words, he's explaining not to ferment the mind, and also not to run, to pursue at all, to perceive and to investigate in those areas which he has no permission. Because the tree of knowledge of good and evil would allow him access to newer levels of understanding. And Hashem says, you don't have permission to do that yet. You have no permission. Stop. Things are just now understanding and then emuna, immediately. Just let's put ourselves as much as we can, as tiny as we are, in the feet of Adam Arishon. He was just created Friday. Like we said earlier, he's exposed to a whole new creation that he's just created himself, and also the creation, the birds, the trees, the mountains, okay? So he's astonished and amazed of absorbing what he's seeing. And also he was given a level of knowledge. Adam Rishon was created with a level of perception of seeing to a certain level, the depths behind the hippopotamus, the elephant, the giraffe, the dinosaurs, if they were existing back then like we assume they were. Everything he was perceiving and advancing. The tree of knowledge of good and evil was tempting to allow him to perceive more. And Hashem said, your test is not to eat from the tree of knowledge. I want you to stop. That means understanding, absorbing new perception, and then wall. Boom, a wall. Don't touch from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's the keter, okay? And that was his job. Not to pursue, right? So rather, what was he expected to do? So Adam said, so Hashem, what do you want me to do? Your job, rak leha'amin b'Hashem yitbarach, lekayem ha'mitzvah shetziva alav, livli le'achol me'etz hadat. Rather, his job was just to simply believe in Hashem, blessed be He, to fulfill the mitzvah. Adam was given one mitzvah. Don't eat from the tree of knowledge. Hashem's telling him, don't eat. That's your mitzvah. That's your commandment. He was expected just to believe in Hashem, blessed be He, to fulfill the mitzvah that Hashem commanded upon him to do. Livli lechol metzadat. Period. But you see how he got tricked? The snake, the deceptions of the snake. Yeah, but this, yeah, but that. And by telling him all these crazy things, convolutions and distortions, he got him to eat from the tree of knowledge. What in the world? But Hashem told you not to eat. So he says, yeah, but the snake said this, said that. That's why it's so dangerous to listen to people who are not on the same page as you. People who don't have emuna, there's no mitzvah to listen to them. There was a Breslov expression in Uman when you had these like atheists and philosophers who want to argue with the Breslover Hasidim. So the Breslover Hasidim would stop and say, listen, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. If you want to hear what I have to say, no, I will talk. But on condition that I don't hear a word of what you have to say. I'll talk, but I don't want to hear you. Not a word, not a peep. Not a peep, because your words are dangerous for me. I admit they're dangerous, and I don't want to hear a word, because you guys are dangerous. So that's how it is also that the snake, by listening to the snake, that was already the beginning of the downfall. Because once the snake is allowed to talk, he'll convince you, yeah, this, yeah. That's why also on media and social media, you have to be very careful what you're listening to, what you're watching, and not say, oh, but I'm strong, I can handle this. And no, you can't handle this. Okay, you're going to see that the convolutions will get you to do what you don't want to do. It's like Rabbi Jonathan Riedi. His father was like a big movie producer and everything. And he said something amazing. We probably know about this, but it's just, the idea is amazing. A lot of money is invested in commercials. Why? And the people making the commercials, they learn a lot how to understand the brain power and the attitude and the way people think. And by knowing that, know how to get them to buy the product even though they don't want the product. The guy, there's a commercial, there's an ad for Calvin Klein underwear. What do I need Calvin Klein underwear? But they know how to make the picture that will in your subconscious get to you, and they know I'm going to get you to buy the underwear, whether you want it or not, whether you like it or not. You're going to have the Diet Coke commercial, you're going to have this. We're going to get it to you because we know how to get to you. All that's needed is you to open your eyes and look and to accept, to receive. Once you receive from us, we've got you. That's how the commercial industry works, that they're so smart and dangerous, these people, and what they learn. They get paid a lot of money because they know how to get to people, okay? So because of that, when it comes to things which are related to my emuna, I have to make sure I have blockers on. Not to listen to the snake, not to listen to somebody who's not on the same page as me in Torah observance, in emuna, okay? I don't want what's called in Hebrew chochmologim. People are just intellectuals. It's dangerous. Even someone who's in the Torah, but he's just intellectual, I know speaking and listening to that person is dangerous for me. Even if they look from, they have payas and a beard and keep on tzitzis, but their whole devotion is only out of intellect, no emuna, these people are dangerous. I don't want to hear from them. They can ruin my emuna, and then get me to start thinking their way of thinking, which is wrong. And eventually will lead a person to fall off chas v'shalom, okay? So going back, Reb Noson, רק להאמין בהשם יתברך לקיים המצווה שציווה עליו לבלי לאכול מעץ הדת. Hashem expected Adam Rishon, Nachon, I'm opening you to an awareness of the universe, which is like an absorption of new perceptions. But when it comes to the tree, stop. Don't eat. Believe in Hashem. I commanded you not to touch of the tree of knowledge. והוא עבר על זה, והרהר אחר השם יתברך, ואחר מצוותיו, ואכל מעץ הדעת. And he transgressed, he went, avar, he transgressed this command, and he began to have doubts and second thoughts after Hashem Yitbarach. Why does he say like this? Maybe because he doesn't want me to eat from the tree, because he did also, like the snake, the convincing, convoluted ideas of the snake. You begin to think out of Hashem because you're not doing it out of emuna. So he began to think like behind Hashem. It's an expression in Hebrew, meaning to have doubts about Hashem and about Hashem's commandments. Maybe he didn't really mean like this. He meant it in that scenario, but now I understand better, so now I can eat from the tree. And in the end, he ate from the tree of knowledge, and he got punished for that. It was wrong. Because like Rav Noson's re-quoting from the Zohar, V'yistakel b'ma deleit le'reshu l'istakela. And by eating from the tree of knowledge, he was exposed to levels which were beyond his level, and he saw and gazed in items, in those concepts which he doesn't have permission to look at. And through this, it was decreed upon Adam and his descendants to have death for generation, from generation to generation. So because of this test, and it's something that every Jew goes through every day, you have the times of the day where you need emuna mode, and times of the day you need to have intellectual mode, okay? And to know how to balance. And the person tries to, in a classic example, is that a person is on a roll in his learning, and he's on a high, but his wife told him you have to pick up the kids at 2. And it's already 10 to 2, it takes 10 minutes to go out drive. And he's, no, just push a little, because I just want to finish the page. So he made the intellectual accomplishment and grasp as a goal. He didn't make it for 10 minutes. 2 o'clock came, he wasn't there. The kids got lost and everything. And his wife starts screaming, why weren't you there? And this and that. And he feels bad about himself. And then he loses the whole rest of the day and the next day also. And he feels garbage. And until he gets out of this rut, it takes like another week or 2 weeks or a month or a year. Okay? It just, this challenge, knowing when to stop and then going to emuna mode. I have to go to davening now. I have to do this. And knowing when to stop, to put the brakes. Okay? This is a daily challenge that people go through. When is emuna and when is intellect? And not that anyone should even pass by a hair's breadth onto the other one. There's the time for emuna, the time for the intellect, and they're separate, okay? Not to overpass, let's put the intellect on the emuna time and the emuna mode, and let's put the emuna mode on intellect. You have to know when to balance. This is the main test. We'll stop here. We spoke a lot, and visit Hashem. If you have any questions or whatever, I'm here. I think everything was clear. Reb Noson is super clear. I hope you agree with me in that.
It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
I told you.
One question.
Yeah, I'm listening.
My friend Ari here, he asked it during the shir. He asked, when Adam ate from the tree, did he attain knowledge? Did he get all the knowledge and then lose it? Or did he never get it because he did the chayah? Was it just
He got the wrong knowledge. He got a level of knowledge that was beyond him, and because it was beyond him, it brought him down. There's levels of knowledge that when you're exposed to them, it's like too much oil can burn out the flame. That
he overdosed. It was like an overdose.
He overdosed and he ended up losing everything.
Right, he died. That makes sense. That's the concept. Like, yeah,
he did tshuva. He did tshuva. Yeah, he was given death, and then he did tshuva, and Hashem accepted his tshuva, but minimized him. So like the perception of Adam before the sin and after the sin is like millions of levels apart. Millions of levels apart. He lost all that potential good because he jumped. He didn't want to put on the brakes.
I have a question for you, Rabbi.
Yes.
So now, like, we're coming into times with Mashiach, and more information is out there. More high level information is out there, and it's much more easier to absorb. People are using that to actually elevate their mitzvot. For example, I've always known about hand washing. I understand the importance of it, but when I learned a little bit more about it, or I started doing more meditations with my hands, and I started feeling wow, my hands are like bringing down the Shekhinah and Hashem's, light. And I was like, you know what, I want to wash my hands now. And I knew all about it, and I wasn't super careful. But now, like, actually today is 40 days of washing my hands every day in the morning. And I did a 40-day challenge, so today 40. And but like, I wouldn't have really connected to that so much doing that. I know I have to do it. I know I have to do a million things. But when you kind of add that extra level of Hasidus or Kabbalah to it, and then it makes it, I want to do this. I want to do the halachas. When you learn these things, so there is that, going to the Keter and getting pushed back, or learning stuff that we're not allowed to learn. Where does that kind of all fill in? Because I know getting closer to Mashiach, we need more of it. The human mind is not okay, do religion, do this, do Torah mitzvah. We're like, yes, but we're getting so close to that. We need more.
Okay, very good. So the availability of knowledge now on the internet, which, for example, did not exist 30 years ago, right? You have to admit, 30 years ago, people had to work hard to go to a library or to go to yeshiva to get books. And even the books that were available, they weren't available like today. Today, Art Scroll, you have everything in English now. Even the Zohar, the Midrash, right? Back then, knowledge wasn't so much available like it is today. The situation of Jewish people today being exposed to what's out there to enhance their Judaism can be compared to when Adam HaRishon was created. So Adam HaRishon was created on Friday morning, and he was immediately exposed to the creation. With all the details, Hashem enabled him to be exposed to the mountains, the trees, the deers, the giraffes, the animals, and Hashem gave him a depth which we have no grasp of, right? But then, after that exposure, Hashem said, okay, now emuna, don't touch from the tree, okay? So, meaning, today, to start the initial stage of a Jew's emuna, they allow from heaven, seeing we're such a low level. We're so low. It's unbelievable how low we are. We don't even, when you become more exposed to what's actually out there, you become embarrassed of where you were holding, where you came from. Because you see what's out there and you laugh and you're ashamed. I can't believe I used to think like that. I can't believe I used to do like that. Man, I stupid and this and that. Person feels ashamed because when they're exposed to something higher, so they look down to where they came from and they're a bit embarrassed. That shows that where we're holding when we start off is really far. So because it's so far and so dark, just to activate the initial stage to get a Jew to have emuna is needed already, accessing all this amazing levels of Chassidut and Kabbalah. I myself, I'm telling you, the Ari Kaplan books also, he gave me that depth to have the initial devotion, and then once that's done, emuna is needed. So too. So you have your example of what you learned to enhance your doing the tila. You were so amazed by the doing the tila. So now your test is 40 days. Are you going to continue now? When now you don't have that light and enhancement. You wake up with a baby crying or this. You don't have time to think about these things that brought you in the first place. But you have to do things now out of routine. You have no choice because the situation is not allowing you to experience and appreciate the bliss of what you're doing. So you have no choice but to go on emuna. Will you do it now? Will you do it? After everything you've learned and everything now, all the enhancement you have in the Netilat Yadayim, now they take that away from the static and the distractions of the situations of life. Are you going to say, no, I don't have that feeling that I had when I started 4 days ago, so I'm not going to do it today? Or I say, no, I'm committed now. I'm committed now, and whether there's light or there's no light, whether there's clarity or not, I'm here. I'm doing the Netilat Yadayim no matter what. I'm here. I'm in the ball game.
Is there Sorry, is there emuna in v'nishma?
Is what? Sorry, one more time.
Is there emuna in the second part? There's nasa v'nishma. Is there emuna in that second part?
Of course. Like we said, there's nase, nishma. And then again, nase, nishma. It doesn't end. After every nishma, there's a new nase. Is that crazy? After, it's like endless levels. Nase, your reward is you get to the nishma. And then after nishma, you like we said, the analogy of the room. You open the door to a new room. They allow you to experience a new level of understanding. And you see at the end of the room, there's another door. Oh my God. I thought this was the end. I thought I made it. No, there's a new level. It's like an expression in the Gemara. Megale tefach, mechase tefachayim. You reveal one tefach only to cover up two tefachim, two measures. In other words, you revealed one level and it just pushes you back. Now, whoa, I thought I was advancing. I see how much I don't know. The goal of knowledge is to realize how much you don't know. That's how it always is. So there's always an understanding. Wow, there's an initial understanding. It enhances your doing out of emuna. That's what's needed to push you to start doing things. Now I'm committed, okay? But now that's taken away. Are you going to continue? Are you going to continue or not? That's where emuna comes in. And once you've showed your commitment, you showed your dedication, Hashem says, okay, now you're ready for the next level. The next level of enhancement of the deeper meaning of the Netila. And then you pass that level. They say, okay, next level, we have to make a stronger type of darkness, which requires a stronger level of emuna, but you're holding at that level now. So they give you that test, and then another level. That's how it is in life. Lightness, darkness, lightness, darkness. But it's always getting bigger. Yes.
So if we're learning, and let's say nothing's moving in our daily lives, if we're not taking on more, or if we're dropping things, is that a sign like, hey, you're learning from like the eighth dust, like you're learning and you're getting all this knowledge, but your spirituality, your service to Hashem, your avoda is dropping? Would that be that spot where we're like, okay, now it's not time to learn more, it's more time to like fall into emuna and like do and then go back into learning?
Or,
like, when do you know when you should push back? Because you won't always get it.
Or it's a sign that there's not enough emuna in your daily life. It says like this, to explain. In Pirkei Avot, it says, Kol shechochmato meruba mima'asav lema'u domeh. Someone whose knowledge is greater than his actions. To what can it be compared to? To a tree. This is a famous Pirkei Avot. To a tree that has a very thin bark, a thin stem, but many, many branches, many leaves. Comes a little wind, and a small wind comes and is able to uproot the tree. However, if you have a tree that has a strong bark, a strong root, and has little branches, but has a strong root, all the winds in the world cannot blow it down. So to explain that a person whose intellect and develop of learning is here, but his emuna devotions don't match it. There's not enough in his daily schedule. Person has this can also take a look at the daily schedule you have in your life. How much of it is in intellectual study, and how much is it in emuna? If the emuna amount is down here, and the intellectual part is up here, you're gonna fall. It's not. The emuna has to match minimum to the level of intellect. There has to be time in the day to give to emuna, which is davening. Okay, so that means the emuna devotion. What will maintain that what will help to maintain that the intellect won't bring me down is that it's always coupled with strong emuna. So it's even simultaneously. I have the time of the day where there's Torah study, intellect, time of emuna, Torah study and emuna. The emuna that we're talking about here is doing things to maintain that I have emuna. What is that? Tefillah. To make sure in the day there's enough of hitbodedut and prayers where I put away the mind, the brain, and just talk to Hashem from the heart. That I have to have, that it's at least equal to the brain. Because if not, the brain is up here, the heart, the emuna is down here. A strong wind comes and blows a person and he crashes. Whereas if the emuna is always strong, so when it's time to go in emuna mode, no more intellect, even this is put on the side, And now it's only emuna mode because he's built on developing the emuna on a daily basis. He doesn't crash. So now to answer your question, how will you know? The hitbodedut you do, the personal prayers you do, will guide you in life to know how and when to balance. They say in Breslov like this, that hitbodedut is like a blind man's walking stick. A blind man, he doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know that there's stairs coming up on the right. He doesn't know there's a wall in front of him. He doesn't know that there's an exit to the left and not to the right. But what helps him is his walking stick. The walking stick hits against the wall. He feels the earth if there's steps going down, steps going up. If there's an elevator, an escalator, there's a right. So to the hitbodedut, you're like blind. You have no idea where you're going. When you're hitbodedut, you're talking to Hashem out of emuna, is what guides you to know where to go, when to make a left, when to stop, when to make a right. That's why it's so important to have in the daily regimen a strong dosage of emuna devotions, which require no brain, just the heart and emuna. And that way you have the feeling to know when to make a right, when to make a left. We're not saying when it comes to halachic questions, when a person needs a rav. For halachic questions, there's a rav, a rabbi. But when it comes to things that I've taken upon myself personally to do, and I don't know if I'm doing the right balance, and I'm thrown off, and I'm frustrated, maybe I should do this, that, maybe I should do like this. So hitbodedut is for that. Hitbodedut is to guide you, to give you barometers, how do you say, indicators, like Morse codes, like a red lights, indicators, when to do, when not to do, what to do, how to do. When it comes to halacha, that's why I have a rabbi, to ask him all halacha questions. I hope that was clear.
Yes, thank you very much. That was very clear. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was very good.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
So bli neder, let's see about next week. It's a Pesach. It's before Pesach. Let's see. Let's see how it works. We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kotzer.
Chazak
Also, thank you.
All the
Bye-bye.
best.
Thank you.
All the best.